What's up, YouTube? And hi, welcome to the channel. Welcome to this week's rendition of Gods Unchained Market Watch. I'm your host, Juju. And this week we're going over all of the notable market movements in Gods Unchained. So, not going to lie, there hasn't been a lot of activity. And I'm not too sure if it's because of the metagame right now. Maybe player activity is at an all-time low. But after doing some research, like we haven't had a couple of... we only have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You only have 8 cards that we're going to go over. So that might be a new record for Market Watch, yeah. I'm not mad at it. That actually means I have to talk less, which is kind of nice. But if you want to know my opinion on the metagame right now, it seems like everyone's hyper-focusing on Anubians. I'm still, all right, so it's been 2 weeks, and yeah, top decks are Anubians, but I'm still like... very skeptical about if Anubians, well, they do need, I think they might need slight nerfs, but I think there's a deck out there currently that probably is just like not discovered, right? For example, I don't know, Regen Nature seems pretty strong. Maybe we need to wait for those lists to get optimized. Guild Deception Guild Deception Zoo has been a front runner as well. Magic still hasn't been explored outside of OTK variants. And even like control decks, board wipe death is a thing, but yeah, I think in general, maybe the metagame's still being solved. Anubians, of course, are going to be the first deck that's going to be solved because they were like literally a day zero deck, right? That deck has been around since PTR. People know the list in and out. People are used to playing it. They know how to play it optimally. Maybe the rest of the metagame needs to catch up, but we'll see. I do think they might need a slight nerfs, and we should expect nerfs from the devs pretty soon. In my opinion, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a fan of the deck. Not gonna lie. I think it's good, but it doesn't feel strong, which is kind of weird to say because it really is top deck of the format. But I digress. Anyways. We're not here to talk about the metagame. We're here to talk about the market. So with that being said, let's get into our first card. Return to the Cave is a 1-mana spell. Add 2 mana locks, heal your god for 10. We did see an increase in price. It dipped from $4 down, $4 all the way to $8. So it's a double. Not bad. Cheapest you can find this at right now is $7.60. That's pretty good. So what do I think about the card? Well, honestly, this is probably one of your better burst heal options in, well, really the game, but you can only play it in the death class. You get to heal your god for 10 mana at the cost of 1 mana. Technically, it costs what? Okay. Technically, it costs you a little more than 10 mana because I'm too lazy to do the math right now, but you say you play this at, I don't know. Play this at 3 mana, play 1 mana, you're now at 1 mana, so now you have to go to 2 turns to get to 3 mana, but then the opportunity cost is also in the level of mana that you had each turn. So if you're at 3 mana and you played this card, you're also losing the fact that you have 4 mana and the fact that you have 5 mana. So there's some complex... Not complex, but there's some math involved to rate the value of this card. However, I do think it's pretty strong because, honestly, when are you going to heal yourself for 1 mana? You know? And if you can... Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. 3, 2, watermelon. Okay, that worked. So... Oh, no, it's not coming back. All right, here we go. But yeah, so... I don't know if you can run it in a deck where you don't really care about losing the mana locks. This is a pretty good burst heal option. I think it's actually one of the best burst heal options in the game. It's an epic from the Trial of the Gods set, so there's something there. There's some scarcity, but not as much scarcity as like a Genesis set epic, but that's something to consider as well. Anyways, it's a decent card. Cheapest you can find this card right now is $7.60. Next up, that was our only death card, y'all. That's crazy. Next up, we have Ludia's Deception. This is going to be our 1-mana spell. Target an opponent, choose a card in their hand, and shuffle it into their deck. Both players draw a card. Honestly, I think this card is really good, in my opinion, because for 1 mana, you get to look at your opponent's cards, get all that information, disrupt their strategy or disrupt their turns. Yeah, they get to draw a card, but you get to draw a card too. So you get to cycle through your deck, and that's not bad. So yeah, I like the card. I think it's a pretty decent option in Deception. Cheapest you can find this card right now is $3.58, and it spiked all the way from 163 all the way to 325. So that's a pretty significant bounce back. We'll see if this level holds, because it does seem like there's a lot of activity in the last couple days, but that's something to keep an eye on. Next up, for light. See, this is how you know I'm running out of things. I'm looking at Golden Saber, and I'm looking at the activity here. One person bought Golden Saber on May 3rd, which is today, for $168.68. One more cent off. Could have been $168.69. Anyways, we do see here that the price has fallen off significantly. The cheapest you can find this card at is $172.05, but after that, you have a $249.47 price level. So that's pretty interesting to me. I think it's an epic card, and it comes from the Aetherbot set, which is pretty rare, in my opinion. What it is, it's a 2-mana, 2/3 relic, afterlife, heal your god for 4. It's kind of like Cudgel and Atonement in that sense, with just 1 more durability and cost 1 more mana. This could be an alternative to Cudgel of Atonement, but yeah. I don't know. Cudgel of Atonement seems like a very good card. So I think I'd play Cudgel over Golden Saber, but that's just me. Golden Saber does give you an extra durability for whatever that's worth, so it might be an option. It's definitely a solid option in light decks for sure. Okay, next up for Magic, we have Read the Leaves. This is your 2-mana spell for C2, draw a card. It's basically a Rune of Sight. We do see a little bit of activity here. Someone bought 17 copies at an average price of $25.22. So it spiked all the way from, let's see, $17.43 on April 24th, all the way to $28.32 on May 3rd. The cheapest you can find this card right now is $28.33. It's basically a Rune of Sight. You get to go through a maximum of 3 cards in your deck. That's about 10% of your deck for 2 mana. And that's pretty good, especially in decks that want to dig through their cards. Maybe you're running an OTK, maybe it's Dralamar, maybe it's something else. But other than that, I think the card is very good, especially if you need to dig through 4 combo pieces. It's very good. And it's a Genesis card. That's also a epic, so there's some scarcity there. Okay, next up, we have Palace's Incantation. This was an interesting one, but it kind of makes sense. So Palace's Incantation is a 6-mana spell. Transform each creature that costs 6 mana or more into a 1/1 rat. Obliterate each creature in both voids. So you're not playing it for the first effect, you're playing it for the second effect. And that's obliterate each creature in both voids. What decks currently in the metagame right now involve resummoning creatures from their void? A Nubian Death. That's great. And you get to play this card before they get to play Land of the Dead. Or is that the name of the card? The 6-mana spell that revives 6 1-mana minions. Anyways, it seems like a decent tech card in the metagame. I would see this run in a Control Mage or Control Magic, but it could... That's pretty much it. Or maybe it could be even run in Rat Magic, depending on the build. But I mean, it's a decent tech option in decks that can afford to run a 6-mana spell. So very interesting buyouts here. Yeah, it spiked all the way from $1 all the way to like $2.23. Cheapest you can find this card right now is $2.29. Spell Slinging School Teacher. This is your 1-mana 1/1 Mystic. After you summon a creature with 1 health, deal 2 damage to your opponent's god. Very interesting card. Synergizes with itself and a lot of the 1 health cards in the Magic class. So Shadow Scryer, Magic Carpet, any of the Echo cards, really. You see the spike happen from $1 to 11 cents all the way to $2.12. Cheapest you can find this right now is $1.92. So we don't have any nature cards this time around. We're just going to go ahead and skip that. But next up, we have Commander Pyros for War. So this one was interesting because Commander Pyros actually spiked to $14, and then it went back down. I actually really like this card in a class like War because, there are a lot of instances where war creatures survive damage, and 1/1 is a pretty significant amount. Like, imagine having Commander Pyros on the board and then summoning a Tavern Brawler, trading it with a minion. That Tavern Brawler gains health and also attack, and that could be very good. Also, it synergizes with the amounts of like whirlwind AoE effects that war has that deal 1 damage to every creature. That's something to look out for. Also synergizes with Sign of Strife. Also synergizes with the newly nerfed Volcaz, which is now 5 mana, even though I think they should move that back to 4 mana. This card has a lot going on for it, and I think it's a sleeper pick in the Mortal Judgment set. With that being said, though, it needs to fit in the metagame somehow. So I think it's a little situational in terms of like what cards need to be prevalent in the metagame. This is definitely one of those metagames where it can be prevalent, but it needs a little more spice to it. Anyways, my opinion on the War Legendaries from Mortal Judgment is they're actually kind of slept on. Commander Garen's really good. Commander Pyros is also very good. I think his name is Garen. Yeah, anyways. It's just Commander Garen, or the Garen card, needs the Empower effects to be a little bit stronger, either that or a little bit cheaper. So we'll see if that happens. Anyways, I do like Pyros. I think it's a decent option, and when War gets more support for this type of archetype, be on the lookout for this card. Anyways, the cheapest you can find this card right now is $9.25, and that's pretty much it. Next up, we have Helmna, the Spear of Life. This card saw a little bit of a bounce back recently. So it dipped all the way to $5.62. Now it's currently at $9.31. Helmna is an interesting card in itself. 7 mana. Frontline, after a friendly character is healed, this creature gains strength equal to the amount healed. Roar, heal friendly character. Each friendly character is healed for 3. It's a 2/9. But it's obviously going to get strength because of its roar ability. I really like this card. You have to wait 9 turns to play it, but I mean, it synergizes well with decks that run heal, right? So if you're running CERN, if you're running Volcaz, maybe you're running something else that does a mass AoE heal, this can be something to consider in the deck. It's definitely going to be your top end, probably only going to be your only 7 mana minion, unless you're running like a ramp deck or anything like that. But yeah, the card I think it's a very decent option, and I'm excited to see if there are any more like advances in the metagame with this card. All right, y'all. That's it. That's the end of our Market Watch for today. If you want to know my closing thoughts, we are experiencing a kind of lull in the market right now. I don't know if it's because of the metagame, but this is definitely abnormal due to the fact that typically after set releases, there's a lot of activity, and currently right now I don't see a lot of activity other than in the market. No one's buying things out, but it could be the volatility could be a factor, right? Lots of metagame changes, balance patches are still being sent out and shipped. So there could be a lot of volatility, and because there's a lack of activity, there's a lot of activity to see or find any good deals, right? Like what we talked about with Golden Saber, for example. Golden Saber, there's a deal right now. It's you can buy a card for 172 and just sell it for, $249, or relist that card for $249. Granted, I don't know if that's a good idea. I actually don't think that is, because if you're looking at the volume here, no one's buying this card. But that is something to consider. You can find similar situations with certain cards. So keep an eye out for that. If you're looking to do that, these market conditions are usually where you can find some deals. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you like the content, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments section below. With that being said, everyone have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Peace.